Good day, good night, all. Welcome back. We have a special guest. Ray Flores is in the laboratory with me. Thank you very much for carving out some time. Play-by-play commentator, currently at One Championship. And may I say, sir, you are doing an excellent job, a great addition to the team. Welcome to the broadcast, sir. How art thou?
I am amazing. Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm going to be honest with you. And I got to tell you, I have to thank Chaudhry Sidyotong, Matt Miller, Dave Harmon, my amazing producers and directors, Rich Franklin, Mitch Chilson, my broadcast partners. Working for One Championship is a dream, and it's something that I cherish and I covet. And the fighters and the fans and the media have been so kind to me after my first show, and can't wait to get to Singapore at the end of September. And then 1 week later, we're in Bangkok at the legendary Lumpini Boxing Stadium, the most iconic arena for combat sports in the East. And really just pumped to see these final few months of 2023 with One Championship. And I think it's going to be a rocking few months. And, you know, we got about a month away until One Fight Night 14. But counting down the days and can't wait to, reunite with everybody.
Most definitely, sir. And as you say, the amount of new fights that have been announced and released it's amazing. It is amazing.
We got some bangers. I mean, you got to look at Stamp and Hamsio He. I think that's going to be a phenomenal fight. You have the fact that Stamp is trying to become a 3-sport world champion. Now, people are like, 3 sports? Yeah. Muay Thai, kickboxing, 1 world champion, and now trying to become an MMA world champion. And she's not even 30 years old. Insanity. Like, yes. Are you kidding me? Hamsio He has been at the top of the heap in the atomweight division for a long time. Also, Samila Sundell, oh my gosh, like she's not even 19 years old, and she is just, I mean, we always hear about budding young superstars. There is no greater graphic demonstration than Sundell as being a budding young superstar, world champion before 19. Yeah. What is this, Mike Tyson from back in the day? Unbelievable stuff. And I'm looking forward to her fight and Alicia Rodriguez. I mean, it's just, we're going to have a heck of a night at Singapore Indoor Stadium, or depending on Friday night in the United States, Sunday for the rest of the world. And then obviously we go back to back, with, we have, Tawan Chai and Superbon, coming up on One Fight Night 15. And that to me is going to be like, I mean, it's like the 4th of July is when we have fireworks here in the United States. That is going to be from the moment the bell rings till whoever can withstand the other's assault and their strikes, that's going to be complete madness. I really they better sort of put and make sure that the roof is solidified at Lumpini Boxing Stadium, because it might come off with the excitement for that fight with Tawan Chai and Superbon.
It's definitely a pick'em. It's really a pick'em. I've had my eye on Tawan Chai from his first fight, and I thought this guy he's gonna be something special in this organization, in this promotion. And we've got he is the man at the moment. Superbon, he's got experience. He's got so much experience and the mindset and the ring generalship. As I say, it's a pick'em, but I'm gonna go with the younger. I'm making an official prediction.
An official prediction?
I'm going with Tawan Chai. I really am gonna go with Tawan Chai on this. It's gonna be tough. It really is. He's got a big hill to climb, but I think the youth is on his side.
I think here's the thing. I see Tawan Chai is on a roll, but at the same time, I think as you look at Superbon, his loss is just to Chingiz Alizov in recent memory. And Alizov is the best pound for pound kickboxer on the planet. Mm-hmm. No shame losing to Chingiz Alizov. I mean, look at what Alizov was able to do against Marat Grigorian. I
I
mean,
know.
that was just virtuoso like.
Yeah.
So I think Superbon people might be overlooking him, and Tawanchai better not, because Superbon has the ability and has demonstrated it throughout the course of his career that he can turn things around real quick. And
Sure.
I love this fight because it's like what could be considered like the old guard with Superbon with the new breed in
Mm,
Tawanchai. So
mm,
can Superbon go and say, and you know what, as I'm getting older, like I'm in my mid 30s, and as you get older, you look at these guys in their mid 20s, you're like, all right, like, we'll see if you can compete. But I think Superbon might be like, look, like you are a stud, but
yeah.
this is still my world. And I'm going to teach you a veteran like lesson. But Tawanchai could say, hey, listen, you had your time, Superbon, and now it's my time. This is the era of Tawanchai. So we're going to find out coming up early October with One Fight Night 15. I can't wait. And honestly, after that fight, bro, I'm going to need a nap because I'm going to be so tired, so emotionally drained from the
Yeah.
excitement and the pandemonium. Like, oh my gosh, dude. Like, I can't even. I'm just like Tawanchai Superbon. Oh, and
Yeah.
then that's a week later. Like, what? I'm literally going to spend 2 days after One Fight Night 14 in Singapore and chill so I
Yeah.
can relax and rest and get ready for One Fight Night 15. Both cards are just stacked.
Stacked, crazily stacked. And one thing that we need to also point out is that Stamp is also the Grand Prix champion. That beautiful platinum belt. It's a platinum belt that they have for the Grand Prix Championship, isn't it?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
I believe you are correct.
So, she does have a championship within martial arts, not the championship
Yeah.
per se, but which she's half the way there of cementing. I mean, like she is a breakout star, and it proves so much when they had their inaugural US debut.
I,
The amount of love that was shown to both the Iron Man and Stamp Out, and to all of the competitors, but you could hear a difference when both came out.
well, I'm excited just because Chatri Sidiotongan won. We're making a committed and concerted effort to come to the United States. You mentioned about that first event in May, which I was not there, but I did watch, and I was blown away.
Mm,
And there will be 4 fights, next year in the United States on the mainland. And it is literally, I mean, it's true. One Championship is the world's largest martial arts organization on the planet. And the global impact and imprint that One Championship has is just astounding. And what I love about what we are doing with One Championship that is led by Chatri is there is a focus on the martial arts. So it's the best kickboxers in the world. It's the best
mhm.
Muay Thai fighters in the world, the best grapplers in the world, some of the most amazing MMA fighters on the planet. And he's all about giving fighters an opportunity. It's not based on, oh, well, you said this about this fighter, and now your
Yeah.
name's in headlines, and now you got popularity. So
Mm.
let's move you up the rankings, and you're going to go from 12 to number one and fight for the contenders, for the number one contender. You're going to fight for the world title, and you're going to go from 12 to 1 based on what you said in the media. Like, what?
Mm.
Like, I
Yeah.
get it. It's a business, but
Mhm.
that's not how it is in One Championship. If you want an opportunity or if you want a world championship and you're signed to One Championship, you're going to get every opportunity imaginable to go out and compete against the world's best. And if you beat them, you're going to get a bigger opportunity. And look, like, I mean, you see it when Mitch Chilson, like my favorite thing, by the way, and I think I told him this, and it's so freaking cool. And I pop for it when he does it. But when Mitch Chilson, the Dragon, is in, either the circle or the ring, and a fighter does something amazing, and then Chatri will tell him, or will find, they'll relate it to Mitch.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, the bonus, and he's like, you're making $50,000. I'm like, oh man, like, Mitch, this is crazy.
Yes. It's that plum on the top of the cake, isn't it? Or the cherry, I should say, on the top of the cake. And you do see the fight, because a prize fighter, an athlete, a
Mhm.
warrior who's going out there putting it all on the line, his physical, his spiritual, his emotional health on the line to compete against another man who's doing the same thing, to win, and then to get the additional financial kudos of the boss man himself saying, look, no, I like that. You deserve a bonus. You put everything out there for that. That's for me as a connoisseur. I love to see the fighting. I love to see the execution of their hard work. But it's those moments when you see them, the gratitude that they show for the bonuses and stuff. Versus, if we're gonna put the comparisons, yeah, I want a 50K bonus. Yeah, I want my bonus. So I need to be able to train. I'm leaving in a.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, and that's the thing. Chatri and One Championship has amazing matchmakers and just an unbelievable all-star organization. And it's about rewarding the fighters that go out there and perform. And how do you not love that? Because they don't have to ask for it. It happens right away. Like because Chatri watches everything, and so do the matchmakers. I mean, it's like, like Matt Hume does an amazing job. I mean, just the entire, the whole hierarchy of One Championship. It's about, if you come prepared, if you come in shape, you make weight, and you put on a dazzling performance, you're going to be rewarded one way or another. And sometimes it's even, 2 or 3-fold. So I just think it's fantastic. And I think you see the fighters really go for it. Here's another thing too, which is why it's so much fun for me to call One Championship. They're about finishes. And it's like, you know what? And it's true. Don't leave it in the hands of the judges. Go out there and try to finish and go ahead and make that indelible impression on the world, because you got that opportunity. And the finish rates, look at the finish rates of One Championship, higher than any other organization on the planet. And that's not the fact that guys are being mismatched. It's the fact that when these fighters go out there, men and women, and that bell rings in the circle or the ring, they are saying, all right, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to leave everything inside this ring or the circle, because number one, I want to get paid. I want to win. I just want to put on a heck of a performance, because the fighter standing across the circle of the ring from you is trying to do exactly that to you. So that's why it makes for so much entertaining fights and finishes.
Definitely. And one thing I will say as well, I am now becoming a fan of the fights taking place in the squared circle versus the cage. I know it's there's a lot more advantages for mixed martial arts to take place in the cage per se, but visually, I just think it looks so much better. There's not the cage to look through kind of thing. You don't need as many, I guess, cameramen to be sort of, kind of peered over to make sure we can get the action kind of thing. And then for a fan actually in the arena, I do think, again, visually having that ring there, and it's better, a lot more satisfying visual pleasure, I would say.
I think at Lumpini for sure, it's special, because that arena has held so many amazing events and fights and performances. And the fact that is One Championship's home in Bangkok, I think just goes to show that, the history of Lumpini Boxing Stadium is being further with every single One Championship event. And the ring is so symbolic at Lumpini Boxing Stadium. I think that there are pros to both. It's almost like when people ask me, would I prefer the ring or the circle with One Championship? It's like, I don't have kids, but I'm one of 3. And it's like, I'm not going to tell my parents, like, pick who's your favorite. Like, that's impossible. So I like them both equally, is what I'm getting at.
Yes, no, I totally understand. And as I say, there are advantages to both, but from a visual standpoint, I think the ring is my favorite, at least at the moment. And obviously, we're having so many of those weekly events at Lumpini Stadium, which is exposing me, and I guess a lot more of the casual Muay Thai and kickboxing fans, and exposing them a lot more to the tradition, the history in a snapshot, but more of the actual action itself. And again, now I much initially when I first started watching one, which was quite, I used to watch it via the app, so we're going back maybe 6-7 years ago. When the kickboxing came on, I kind of mentally tuned out because I didn't necessarily know what I was watching. I didn't know the athletes, etc. But with time and seeing them regularly compete, it's like, oh, and knowing the rule set and stuff. And I am thoroughly a connoisseur of sorts now of the striking arts of Muay Thai and kickboxing. I thoroughly enjoy it, and that's why again, one is bringing something totally fresh and totally new.
And that's the thing is that, when it comes to the landscape of combat sports, I think what I love about one is that one doesn't worry about any other entity or network. One is worried about one. And it's unique because the CEO in Chatri, he's such a visionary, because here's the thing, Chatri trains. Like, he legit trains and is evolved and doing his thing. And he's just, even when he goes to like London and stuff, I remember listening to an interview with him, and he was saying, he's like, yeah, I'm going to go to London on business and trying to find some, I'm going to go somewhere to train. I'm going to go train, maybe, this person, that person, whatever. I'm like, dude, you're in London on business. And he's like, well, yeah, that's cool, but I also got to train. And like high level Muay Thai and kickboxing. Yeah. So if the boss is doing it, what do you think the rest of the organization is going to follow suit? It's like, you look at any successful business, you got to look from the top on down. And with Chatri, he's just so focused. I don't even know how he sleeps, but he is just, he loves martial arts. And it is just, like, I love a good steak, but I love trying multiple steaks at a time if I can. And that's what One Championship's about, in the sense that you're getting the best Muay Thai fighters in the world. Wow, that's cool. And Muay Thai brings a totally different skill set than what kickboxing does. Oh, and by the way, we got Mikey Musumeci, who is ridiculous. Like, are you kidding me? Him and Shinya Aoki coming up in October? Unreal. And then you have these amazing MMA fighters. It's like you're getting 4 different sports on one card. Where do you get that? Nowhere but One Championship. And I'm not even trying to sell it to you. I'm just telling you how it is, bro.
I'm eating it every day, all day. Most definitely. So let's rewind time a little bit, because obviously you have been involved within the combat sports sort of landscape for quite some time, and many different bits and pieces.
Very much so. Sorry, I lost you.
Yes. So, where do we start? Let's start.
I'll tell you, the way I got started in martial arts and combat sports is, if you remember, he was the former WEC bantamweight champion of the world. He was one of the best pound-for-pound fighters for about an 18-month to 2-year period. Miguel Angel Torres, out of East Chicago, Indiana. I am from East Chicago, the same hometown as Miguel Torres. Miguel is older than me, but I was starting off doing local public access television. And I would go, it was a summer program, and then I would go after high school, or after class when I was in high school, I would go to local TV station, work for a couple hours. I would do high school football games, basketball games. And just because I wanted to be a broadcaster, even when I was, as early as I can remember, like 6 and 7 years old, when this opportunity came about to intern at the local public access TV station, I jumped on it when I was 15, 16 years old. During that time period, one of my buddies, we had to do a community profile piece, and he interviewed Miguel Torres, and I did camera work for him. So I hung out with Miguel the whole day. And then Miguel cornered the late, great Stephan Bonner during when he fought Forrest Griffin in, I think, the biggest MMA fight in the history of the UFC, when he fought Forrest Griffin the first time. And Miguel was in the corner of Stephan Bonner. So when Miguel got back from Las Vegas, I called him up and I said, hey, do you have any local fights coming up? I'd love to come and cover it or do commentary for it. So he said, and it was, if you remember Super Brawl when they would do fights in Hawaii?
Yes, indeed.
So Super Brawl came to the United States for the first time, and they did the legendary. I know I'm throwing the word legendary out a lot, but it's true. Like, if you look at the history of the Hammond Civic Center in Hammond, Indiana, so many great fighters have come in and out of there. Clay Guida, Miguel Torres, Eddie Wineland, Jay-Z Calvin Conti, Stephan Bonner started there. I mean, so many, Thiago Alves fought there. So many iconic names that have been, Darren Elkins, Pat Gurn, et cetera, et cetera. So Miguel would fight there in April of 2005, and I did commentary. We would show it a week later on public access TV. Miguel Torres fought Mikey French, and Jeff Kern was in the main event against a guy by the name of Luke Spencer. And I was able to meet Monty Cox, the tremendous MMA super agent. And Monty was doing the matchmaking for TJ Thompson. I'm literally probably 17 years old in a conference room at a Ramada Inn in Hammond, Indiana, the day before the fight, when these guys are weighing in, doing fighter meetings. I didn't even have my license at the time. My dad drove me to the Ramada Inn, and he's sitting there, and I'm interviewing all these fighters, getting my fighter notes. The day of the fight, because we had limited resources, we only had one camera. I sat in the upper tank, dead center, put my microphone into the camera. My cameraman was recording, and I was doing commentary there. And then if you remember, if you go, I don't know how far back you go. I feel like you go back a lot.
Yeah.
But the late, great Justin Eilers came up and did some commentary with me. Justin Eilers passed away, but challenged Andrei Arlovsky for the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the world. So that was my introduction to the world of combat sports. I've been a boxing fan my whole life, but Miguel's the one who got me started in combat sports from a business perspective. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am today. And obviously my parents and everybody else, but Miguel was really the one who extended that olive branch to me.
Excellent. And so from such an early age to have that drive and determination to say, no, this is my passion. I want to do broadcasting. How was that sparked? Was it something that you saw? Was there someone that you saw on television or you heard on the radio and thought, that's something I want to do?
So I'll be honest with you. Like I grew up in Chicago. I'm going to be 37. And I grew up in Chicago, late 80s, early 90s. So I grew up watching Michael Jordan every night on television. And it was the presentation of, that was the golden age of broadcasting for me, because you had the NBA on NBC. I was listening to Pat Summerall and John Madden. I'm a diehard Chicago Bears fan. Can't wait for the season to start. But that's another topic for another day. But I would watch those guys and just be immersed in it. But I realized early on, and this is the true statement, I played sports when I was a kid, but I realized I'm not going to be a professional athlete. I don't have the athletic ability. I just don't. You know what I mean? Like, I knew it, but I asked my dad, I think I was 7 or 8 years old. And I'm like, Dad, how do I get involved in sports for a career? And he goes, you could be a broadcaster. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, you could be a sportscaster. Look, you see what these guys are doing? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you could be that. So from that point forward, I was like mesmerized. I'm the sicko that before big prize fights, like when my favorite fighter of all time is Julio Cesar Chavez, the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. Before his pay-per-view fights, I would watch the countdown shows in the lead up to his fight. So I would watch the countdown show and I'd watch the first pay-per-view fight because I was mesmerized by the presentation and the fighters and the storytelling. And I asked my dad, I'm like, where could I go to college to study sportscasting? I was like, I wasn't even 10 years old. He goes, Columbia College. I'm like, I'm going to Columbia College. And that's where I went. And it just kind of built from there. And I worked at ESPN Radio for 5 years, maybe 2 years after college, from 2011 to 2016. And they gave me an amazing opportunity to work in radio and do sports updates. And in the mix of all this, I was, because of Miguel, I met some promoters. I met, Braulio Carrell and Joe Goitia, who had local promotions here, and Bobby Hits. And, my first real big break, I would say, came in 2011 when Joe Martinez, Joe Martinez been out in the UK many times, used to be the voice of Cage Warriors, now is, does announcing for the UFC and does a phenomenal job. But Joe was working for Golden Boy Promotion, still does, but they had a Spanish boxing series called Solo Boxeo on Telefutura. And Joe asked me, we worked together on an MMA show. He goes, I like your style. Let me get your information. He calls me up. He goes, would you want to fill in for me on Solo Boxeo in December of 2011? I absolutely said yes, went out, did it. And thanks to Armando Gaitan at Golden Boy, I would come in and fill in for Joe because Joe was doing Cage Warriors, doing the UFC, WEC. So I worked for Golden Boy late 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, even 2015. Because of that, I did Mayweather undercard. So I did Mayweather Canelo. So I would do all the fights before TV and Jimmy Lennon would take over. So that's just kind of like, and then from there in 2013, meeting Artie Perlulo with Banner Promotions, doing ESPN Friday Night Fights. My Instagram handle is SBR Flores. And what that means is Sweet Baby Ray Flores. Joe Tessitore gave me that nickname when I was doing the finale of Friday Night Fights back in like 2014 or so. And because of Artie, I made my HBO debut, working with Jim Lampley, Bernard Hopkins, and it just kind of built from there. And then in 2014, met Tom Brown at TGB Promotions. His wife, actually, I'll give you a quick story. And I promise I'll finish because I'm long-winded, but I apologize.
No worry.
But I was doing Mayweather Maidana 1 undercards at the MGM Grand, and someone taps me on the shoulder, and it's a guy, and he's all like, hey, he goes, I work for Tom Brown at TGB Promotions. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. Like, I know exactly who you are. Like, Tom Brown and Tom really needs making a campaign for Tom to be in the International Boxing Hall of Fame because what he's been able to do. So Dan Goosen used to run Goosen Promotions and passed away, unfortunately, and was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame. But Tom took over and is now TGB Promotions. So his wife was walking in the arena with Tom and heard a voice, and she told Tom, whoever's, producing that voice, you need to hire him. And thanks to Tom, he hired me in December of 2014. We did an ESPN show called Night of Champions, and I worked that one show for them in December of 2014. PBC was born in March of 2015, and TGB Promotions was a promoter of a lot of their events. Tom brought me in to do press conference stuff in June of 2015. I then signed a deal with ESPN, NBC, or it was NBCSN, and then another couple of networks, because PBC had like 5 networks. So I was working on like 3 of the 5 networks, but doing press conference stuff. And honestly, I can honestly say this, the rest has been history ever since because of those opportunities. So it's a ripple effect. It's this does this and this. And I've just been so fortunate to be around some amazing fighters and trainers and matchmakers and television executives. And I'm a very blessed individual.
Ray is catching dreams, not chasing them. I mean, I guess you still got some dreams to fulfill, etc. But you are, just from what you've said, that little microcosm, because we can go into a lot more detail into so many different parts of those areas. You have had a clear, defined, this is the end goal. This is my profession. This is what I want to do from a very early age, which so many people, especially nowadays, it's so hard for people to really have a true aspiration in regard outside of, I want to be an entertainer per se.
Yeah.
Like, like I want to do this. I want to, own this business, or I want to run, be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. I want to be a broadcaster. I want to be. That is excellent. That is, and you're traveling the world, Senor. Singapore. How was that trip like?
No, so I haven't been to Singapore yet. I was in Bangkok.
Oh, Bangkok
for one Fight Night 13, and man, Bangkok's amazing. I mean, the people are so kind. The food's spectacular. It's just really hot. I mean, I thought I was ready. Bangkok makes Miami seem like Chicago in the wintertime, if that makes any sense to you.
Wow.
It is hot. It is the hottest temperature I've ever been in. But The people are so friendly. They're amazing. They love combat sports. And, I grabbed after the fight of one Fight Night 13. We were in an Uber where it's called Grab out there, but we were in an Uber, and the Uber driver or the Grab driver, he was all like, man, he goes, how are the fight? He goes, what a crazy fight, this and that. Like, Alazov looked amazing. I'm like, we just ended the fight like 30 minutes ago. And he was just like, yeah, I watched the fight. I love this stuff. I'm like, how cool is that? Like, that's the crossover appeal it has. But Bangkok is it's a beautiful country. The people are just so warm and welcoming. And I hear great things about Singapore. I cannot wait to get back to Singapore. And honestly, I just can't wait to see where One Championship goes, because One Championship truly is a global organization. And the thing is that, being here in the United States, this is home for me, but we live in a bubble here. Whereas One Championship is like, we want people to know about us everywhere, in Australia, in Austria, in London, in Lithuania, in Chicago, in Cameroon. Like, that's what it is with One Championship in the global reach. So I'm very excited to head to Singapore. I hear Singapore is beautiful. I hear it's a clean city. And I mean, I love going to Asia, because the Asian people are just so nice and just, tremendous. And also, I'm not going to lie to you, bro. Like, after the fight was over, I had some time before my flight. So I went shopping, and shopping in Bangkok is awesome. I found some great stuff, and I was having some fun in Bangkok. So I can't wait to, when I get there in October, I'm going to spend half a day to go shopping again.
This is it. Treat yourself and never cheat oneself. That is the motto moving forward, most definitely. I'm looking forward to for your journey, One Championship's journey. Mitch also is an excellent commentator. Rich as well. He always brings his flavor to the broadcast as well. I think we've got an action-packed, I guess, last quarter of 2023 with one. There's just so much. There is so much on the cards, and so much more to be revealed.
Look, I know as much as you do, because I'm the last one to get the news, which is cool with me, but I'm already preparing and ready to rock. I have a phenomenal researcher based out of the UK, Michael Owens, who is fabulous. And him and I talk every week in preparation for One Fight Night 14 and One Fight Night 15. So, I'm excited. And honestly, too, I mean, I know that Chatri's mentioned this. I mean, look, you being in the UK, Jonathan Haggerty is a stud. I mean, this guy, what he does in competition is tremendous. I mean, so I am so excited to see, if Haggerty is able to beat and win his next fight, if we are going to go to the UK, because I know Chatri, on one of his Instagram lives, fans were asking about Haggerty. And I think that there could be a possibility where Haggerty is so popular, where if he gets past his next opponent and Fabricio, then I think we could see a case where hopefully in 2024, maybe we hit the UK. And I don't know if that's the case, but I would love to go to the UK. You know why? Because I spent a lot of my formative years in the UK when I was, just kind of coming up in my early 20s, thanks to Alan Orr and 10th Legion Championship fighting. I mean, Alan Orr, who he no longer promotes, but he's a decorated martial artist. And he brought me out when I was 22, 23 years old. I sent him an email, and I sent him a few clips of my work, and he hired me. And I went out there, I think it was like November of 2010 on Thanksgiving, and he brought me out. I would go out to London with him and to Hull, and it was unbelievable. Like, it was to the point where he trusted me so much, where I would fly into Manchester, then I would take the 2 from Manchester to Middlesbrough, and then Middlesbrough to Hull. and then be ready to rock. And I worked with some amazing people there, and calling fights for Pete Irving and Just the Joker Leo Don and Abdul Muhammad and Jack Grant, who I saw when he was 18 years of age, and wiping guys out, knocking them
Yes.
senseless. I mean, Louis Chapman, who I thought was so tough and determined and durable and stuff. I mean, and because of Alan, I was able to then go to Belfast, Northern Ireland. I worked for Clan Wars, back at the Ulster Hall in Belfast. I think I did 3 trips there. Went to Scotland to work for an organization. So I know that I mentioned the word a lot, but I'm a very blessed human being, because when I went back to London, to Wembley Arena, and I hosted the Mayweather-McGregor press conference, it was the first time they were in a boxing ring. I'm like, here I am at Wembley Arena, and I would do fights at Scala at King's Cross in London. And that was like, 7, 8 years before. So it's just, life comes at you fast, and it certainly comes full circle.
Definitely, you got to be prepared and ready to accept the blessings and sometimes the challenges which life throws at you. And you're doing an excellent job, sir. You're doing an excellent job. As we wind this down, so I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah.
2 last questions for you, sir. First one being, have you had fun today?
Yeah, man, I've had a blast. I mean, anytime you need me, you let me know. We'll coordinate schedules. I'm absolutely down to come on and talk about one championship, or and all the things that we're doing, or PBC as well. I mean, those are 2 organizations that are near and dear to my heart, and I love everybody that works within those organizations, because they have treated me like family. I don't use the word love a lot, but it's the absolute truth, because people are just so great to me, and they give me an opportunity, and I'm able to, as you mentioned, like, I'm able to live my dream, because as a kid, I grew up idolizing Jim Lampley and Michael Buffer, and I've since become friends with Michael Buffer and become cordial and kind with Jim Lampley. Those 2 guys were legends, and I was a viewer to performer and commentator and ring announcer, and those are the 2 best to ever do it. And to now have the opportunity that one championship has given me, and people can watch our broadcast around the world, I take it with a great amount of responsibility, because I know that one championship being on Prime Video is massive here in the United States and Canada. It is a huge deal. And I take it with such reverence and focus, and I study hard, because the fighters deserve it, the fans deserve it, and most importantly, the organization deserves it. You know why? Because when your boss, Chatri Sidiotong, and everyone else within one championship is working so hard, then I have to work just as hard, if not harder, if that's even possible, because it's what's needed, it's what's deserved, and you get an opportunity like this, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I do not take it lightly.
Excellent. Last one, sir. Please tell us who you are, but do not tell us your name, senor.
Please tell me who I am?
Yes.
Okay, so I am I'm going to be 37 tomorrow. I'm a 37-year-old Chicagoan, Mexican-American, proud son. I have the greatest parents in the world, amazing family, friends, just people that I've met all over the world through combat sports. And obviously my family's first and foremost. I'm a single guy. I'm not trying to, get dates on this show, but I'm just like, when people ask, oh, do you have a wife and kids or anything like that? No, I mean, I've devoted a lot of my life to my career, my profession. And now that, one championship has given me the opportunity to where I'm really focused on them predominantly. And I'm able to spend some time and enjoy some time off and get ready for shows. And I love the Chicago Bears. I'm a diehard Chicago Bears fan. That is my, it's not my guilty pleasure. It's just it's something that I do, and we're getting ready for football season here in the NFL. I love to tailgate with my friends. What we do is raise money and toys for Flores Children's Hospital when we tailgate. So we're not just, eating and having beverages just to do it. We're doing it for a very good cause, and it's very communal. I'm very fortunate to have not only amazing family, but friends that are close to me here in Chicago and around the country, and friends in the fight business. Because when you're on the road, you spend a lot of time away from family and friends and just your natural surroundings. And it is a blessing to travel, but at the same time, it can get lonely. And I'm so thankful that in with one championship and premier boxing champions, that I have people that I can go to dinner with and enjoy a meal and just not talk about work. I mean, we talk about work a lot of the time, don't get me wrong, because we're there for fight week and it's very important. But I'm able to just, relax, and they let me be me, and I don't always have to be focused on work, and we can talk about other things, and we can laugh, and we have great meals. And I was working out with Rich Franklin, and Rich was telling me, I'll give you a quick Rich Franklin story. I'm working out hard, right? And Rich is like throwing up these, 50, 60 pound, doing shoulder stuff. And I see Rich, I'm like, man, Rich, what a workout you had. He goes, I was like 50%. I'm like, that's 50%. What? I'm like, what are you at 100%? He said, I wasn't even a good workout, man. I'm like, what? Like, I mean, I tell you what, and they don't say this, but it's why, once I'm done with you, I'm going to go work out of the gym. Dom Lau, Mitch Chilson, Rich Franklin, those guys are chiseled, bro. So I know I got to come and I got to diet right. I know I got to work out 5 days a week, because those guys are monsters, and I can't become looking all frail, or I can't look, I can't be hitting the pasta too much and pack on the pounds. I got to come in shape just like that, my man. You know what I mean? I know Chachi doesn't weigh me, but I got to make weight too when I get to fight week for one championship.
Good point. And health is wealth, and it's good. On a serious note, that is a spur to say, actually, I'm not getting any younger of sorts. Metabolisms do slow down, etc. So no, I commend you, sir. Do your 5-day workouts, etc., and get yourself to the physical peak where you need to be.
That's right, my man. I'm very excited about that. And just, I get inspired. The one thing about me, I'm a big energy guy, and I certainly, I have my own religious beliefs, and I'm not going to try and impart that, but I have been, I'm constantly surrounded by people that give me so much great energy and positivity, and I give that back. And I just think that for me is that it's just this constant, it's just this constant revolving door of positive energy and blessings and just things that I don't take it for granted, and I give it back, because the world would be a better place if we try to be positive most of the time, and we try to be kind to one another. We try to love one another. The only time I want to see fighting is in the one championship ring, or the circle, or in the Premier Boxing Champions ring. That's the only time I want to see fighting, but under sports rules. I don't like it. I don't like when people argue with each other and stuff. It's like, let's be kind with each other. Let's all be positive. Let's all be healthy. Let's support each other. And we're going to have a better world. And if we could do that, man, we're doing great things. And try to stay positive, because life is too short.
Excellent words to end it on. Ray, thank you very much for your time and your energy, your experience, and your story. Ultimately, trustfully, this will inspire someone to pursue maybe the same career or a different career. I will make sure I put your social medias and any other links below in the description. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, and we shall definitely be back.
Awesome.